Sometimes this roof up over my head starts getting me down, crowding me out. You know what I'm talking
It doesn't
about.
get any
I
better
need to
than
clear
what
my
you're gonna
head,
see
head
today.
for the countryside. Take a little walk, maybe take a little ride. Bullfrogs croaking, smallmouth jumping, wind blowing through the trees. So let's throw a cooler in the truck. I know where I wanna be. Outdoors with Joey Mines, in a deer stand back in the woods, or kicking back, wetting the line. Rain pours, sun shines, but it's all good, 'cause I'm doing what I love with who I like. I can find that peace of mind I'm looking for outdoors.
Outdoors with Joey Mines is brought to you in part by Owens Corning, Innovations for Living, Warehouser, Highland Marina Resort, Liptus Hardwood Products, KitchenAid, for the way it is made, AssassinatorBaits.com, Train, it's hard to stop a train, and Retreat on West Point Lake. For the next half hour, join us.
But it's all good, 'cause we're doing what we love with who we like. We can find that peace of mind we're looking for outdoors.
Where'd it go?
Hi folks, welcome to this week's show. Today I've got a dear friend. I've got Okefenokee Joe. Okefenokee, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Oh boy, am I glad to be here. My old friend.
I'm gonna back this up about 18 or 20 years ago, the first time that we met. We were actually at a show up in South Carolina at the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic. I was giving seminars, and I was in this seminar hall, and I had probably 15, 20 people in the audience, and I was feeling pretty good. And within, I don't know, 30 minutes, there was 100 people. 45 minutes later, they were completely packed. There was probably 300 people in the room, and they were standing up around the edges, and they kept coming in. And I kept thinking, boy, I'm doing great. This is a great deal. Come to find out, right when I was getting ready to quit, it was the end of the hour, and I said, well, I appreciate y'all coming. And the guy on the front row that had just walked in, he said, well, we're here to see Okefenokee Joe. I said, who? I didn't know who you were. And he came out, and it was like a rock star had rolled into town. And
I'm sorry.
That kind of humbled me up a little bit. I went from 15 to 300 people, and unfortunately they were there for you. So I want to thank you again for that.
They got to see you.
Oh man, that was a great time.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with you.
What's going on with me? I'm still going to the schools, county fairs, Native American powwows. I do a show called Earth Day every day.
Okay.
Yep. We talk about animals and our responsibilities to this round ball we call the earth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I'm going to get off camera today, and we're going to turn it over to Okefenokee Joe. He's got some great songs ahead. You've brought some of your critters with you.
Yeah, I'd like everybody to know they're not my friends. No, they probably don't even like me. They're not my friends. They're my, what you might call, visual aids.
Okay.
They help to tell the story. They teach lessons themselves. I talk about it, but they teach the lessons. Yeah.
Folks, Okefenokee Joe is next. Y'all stay with us. We'll be right back.
One time I had 5 American black bears under my care. You know, I was with those bears 24 hours a day when I wanted to. And back then I wanted to 24 hours a day. You see, I was learning from those bears. I wasn't just learning about them. The most important thing I did with those animals was learn from them. And here's a song I wrote about, oh, Blackjack, I'll never forget him, boy. He grew to be 750 pounds, big old black bear. He wasn't a world record, but he was big. When he stood up, I couldn't reach the top of his head. Anyhow, this is what I learned from the bears, okay? Laying in the shade, playing in the sun. Old black bear knows how to have fun. Rain or shine, he don't mind. Old black bear gets along just fine. Old black bear living in the woods, taking life easy like a black bear should. Wouldn't change nothing even if he could. Old black bear living in the woods. Now, if you're going looking for old black bear, there's some things you need to know. Old black bear ain't too friendly. You better take it slow. He's fast enough to catch a deer and you could be his next meal. Or he might pay you no mind at all. That depends on how he feels. Old black bear living in the woods, taking life easy like a black bear should. Wouldn't change nothing even if he could. Old black bear living in the woods. The best sense old black bear has got is a pair of high-tech ears. Ain't nothing goes on out here in this swamp that old black bear don't hear. But his eyesight's poor, and there's a chance you just might go unseen. He don't see too good or smell too good to get close, you know what I mean. Old black bear living in the woods, taking life easy like a black bear should. Wouldn't change nothing even if he could. Old black bear living in the woods. A bear can grunt and snort and whine, but he can't roar or growl. I'm sure he'd like to make those sounds, but a bear just don't know how. My, does he love honey. It's a comical sight to see. When he tears into a honeybee hive, he'll even eat the bees. And he'll risk his life out on a tree limb trying to reach its tender fruit. Or he might just lie upon his back, munching on the sassafras root. I called him Dog. I didn't know what else to call him. He come into my camp in the Everglades down in South Florida, wagging his tail, half starved to death. Someone had left that poor little dog behind. I felt sorry for him. I said, Dog, you got here just in time. You see that Jeep over there? I was pointing at my Volkswagen thing. It's not a Jeep, but that's what I called it. I said, everything I own is in the back seat of that Jeep. This is my last night in the Glades. I'm on my way now to the great Okefenokee Swamp up there in South Georgia. I'm going to spend the rest of my life up there learning. I'm all by myself. You can come with me if you want to. Well, that cute little short-legged dog must have understood every word I said, because the next morning when it was time to go, he was sitting in the front seat of that Jeep. It took us 12 hours. I drove some, he drove some. Just kidding. We got to the swamp. I took that job taking care of the animals, and I'll never forget that first night. I said, Dog, come on out here. I was on that road out in front of that broken down shack that was going to be our home. I said, look over that way, Dog. I was pointing west. I said, nobody for 48 miles. No civilization, no people, no houses, no noises except wild animals. I said, look down that way, pointing south. Nobody for 60 miles. And I said, we are home. And that dog and me, we were happy. And we were in the swamp almost 3 months. And his name was still Dog. You see, I didn't know what to call him. Till one night I heard him yelp. Went out there to see what he's yelping about. He's sitting there soaking wet, filthy, dirty. He looked so pitiful, he wasn't even wagging his tail. And when he looked up at me, I could see what had happened. It scared me. His nose had swelled up as big as a balloon. He looked like Snoopy sitting there. I said, Swampy, what kind of a swamp dog are you getting snake bitten? We don't have time for that. Then I realized what I had done. Guess what? His name was no longer Dog. He had a name now. His name was Swampy. Oh, how I loved that cute little short-legged dog. Swampy and me had so many adventures together there on Cowhouse Island in the Okefenokee Swamp, because thank God Swampy lived through that snake bite. And not long after Swampy got his name, we found Skeeter. I got a call to come back out to the park. clean up a mess some people had left behind in a picnic area. I took Swampy with me. Hey, I took Swampy with me everywhere I went. That's where we found Skeeter, a tiny calico kitten, no bigger than the size of a Coca-Cola can. She was in the bottom of a 55-gallon trash drum and couldn't get out of it. Someone had left her behind. I picked her up out of that drum. She fit right in the palm of my hand. I said, you're gonna come home to our house. You're gonna be part of the family. Your name's gonna be Skeeter, and you're gonna catch mice. We took her home. She became the boss the minute we got there. For a long time, it was Swampy, Skeeter, and me, just as happy as we could be out there in the Okefenokee Swamp. Well, one night, Swampy didn't come home. It took me 3 days to find him, searching high and low. What was left of him was floating belly up in a pond out there. I got my boat and pulled out to get him. The gator that took him didn't want any trouble with me, it just swam away. I pulled Swampy up out of the water, he fell apart in my hands. Took him back and buried him in the yard. Every time I go to the Okefenokee Swamp, I'll take a few minutes out and I'll go visit Swampy Lake. And I will look at that alligator that took my dog so many years ago. And I will remember. You see, if the alligator had come up into my yard after Swampy, I'd have shot him on the spot. We gotta defend what's ours. But that's not how it happens. Swampy and me had been together for a long time. We had both become very much swamp-wise. There's one thing we had learned about all the wild animals that lived around us. The bear, the bobcat, the alligator, the panther, all the wild animals work for this earth we live on. They're part of nature's team. They mind their own business. They do the job they've been created to do. Other than that, the rules of conduct for wild animals are harsh and strict. Other than that, they mind their own business. It was not the alligator's fault that happened. It was Swampy. 1 second, my best friend forgot to be swamp-wise. The same thing could happen to anybody, even somebody as old as me. I forget 1 second to look up and down the street before I'll go to cross it, and everybody here knows what could happen if a truck came by. Are we going to spend the rest of our life hating all the trucks? We're going to go out tonight and shoot a few trucks, get some revenge? I don't hate that alligator, but I'm sure sorry it happened. And Swampy, here's your song. Swampy the dog, Skeeter the cat, and me. Living in the swamp, loving every minute, just being free. Okefenokee, Georgia, population 3. Swampy the dog, Skeeter the cat, and me. That's the way it was in that broken down shack I called home. Living off the land, but not exactly living alone. My playful 2 companions were always there to help me along. With a whole lot of sharing, a whole lot of caring. Life was like a beautiful song, and I'd sing Swampy the dog, Skeeter the cat, and me. Living in the swamp, loving every minute, just being free. Okefenokee, Georgia, population 3. Swampy the dog, Skeeter the cat, and me. But you know the swamp is a way of changing things. And that old bull gator meant me no harm. But when he dragged Swampy under, it was like he took my right arm. Life in the Okefenokee is beautiful, but there's bound to be a few bad times. I'm just glad I'm still around. And Swampy, wherever you are today, you're on my mind. be a long time forgetting the love in those faithful brown eyes. Swampy was my friend, and oh, how I cried when he died. Now me and little Skeeter are both a little older and wise. No need explaining, though times are changing, we keep the old memories alive. Swampy the dog, Skeeter the cat, and me, living in the swamp, loving every minute, just being free. Okefenokee, Georgia, population 3. Swampy the dog, Skeeter the cat, and me. Yeah, I've been doing these snake programs for just about 4 decades now. And I'm never really sure exactly how to start because there's so much misunderstanding when it comes to snakes. Actually, most of our wild animals are not really truly understood. And yet every single wild animal that lives on this planet is here for purpose. Just like every tree, every leaf on every tree, every living thing in God's creation. And the snakes, though, are probably the most misunderstood. And I have never in my life ever found a snake anywhere on this planet that wanted to bite me. Never found one yet that wanted to bite me, but I've also never found one that wanted to come with me. They don't want to be our friends, but they don't want to be our enemies. Like all of God's creation, snakes are busy working for this planet. They'd rather be left alone. They're part of nature's team. It's called a black rat snake because the color is black, and everybody knows what snakes do for a living, right? Well, they don't eat ham sandwiches, do they? No, they eat mice and rats. It's called a black rat snake because its color is black and it eats rats, not people. This one here weighs 4 pounds, 6 ounces. Did you know the snakes that are not venomous can eat their weight in rats every month? 4 pounds, 6 ounces of rats is a lot of rat meat. Where does it get them? We'd be surprised. No, we'd be shocked. We see a mouse in the house, we say, we got a mouse in the house. We better set a trap and catch it. You know, if you see one mouse in your house, you probably got 30. The only mouse we're gonna see is the dumb one. Because of the way the snake is built, it can go anywhere the rat or the mouse can go. Look at that. Every living thing on this planet has been designed perfectly by the creator of all of it. It's been designed perfectly to do the job it's supposed to do. Every inch of the snake's body is a design that makes this a living machine that can go anywhere a rat or a mouse can go.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's show. Okefenokee, I can't thank you enough. Wonderful songs.
I'm glad I could be here with you. Oh, it's been fun.
He's been at the house for the last couple of days.
Yeah, you got a beautiful place out here, oh, way out in the woods. Wonderful. My kind of place, except it's a little more expensive.
For Okefenokee Joe, I'm Joey Mines. Y'all have some good hunting and good fishing. I'll see you next week.
Like a black bear should, wouldn't change nothing even if he could. Oh, black bear living in the woods. Now, old black bear kind of stays to himself and nobody bothers him. All the critters know better than to hang around. He's a whole lot bigger than them. And he might look downright silly up on his hind legs walking around. Don't let those antics fool you. Old black bear ain't no clown. And he ain't no dummy, and he ain't no fool, and he don't like me and you. Only way you'll ever get close to him is if he wants you to. Old black bear living in the woods, taking life easy like a black bear should. Wouldn't change nothing even if he could. Old black bear living in the woods. Old black bear living in the woods. Hey-o-de-lee-lay, hello-oh-hee. Old black bear.